Three, two, just one.
Can you do something like this?
I actually do need flashing lights.
Okay, welcome to the March 6th, 2024 North Logan City Council meeting. We will begin tonight with I will first excuse Buzzy. We told the men to stay home tonight. So I will excuse Buzzy, who will be joining us later via Zoom, Kenny, who's out of state, and Mark, who I believe is out of the country. So we will just kind of, so a heads up, we will need to adjust the agenda because we're going to kind of try to tackle all of the things that don't require action or a quorum. And then we'll get to the heart of our meeting once Buzzy joins us. So we will begin with a pledge led by Emily, after which I will say the opening prayer.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Heavenly Father, we're so grateful to be gathered together today to consider the business of North Logan City. We ask that as we do so, that we can have clear minds and that we can consider these items on our agenda with clarity and with an acknowledgement of those who we represent. Please bless those of our body who are traveling, that they can do so in safety. And we ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we would need to adopt tonight's agenda, but let's make that modification that we after the opening business that we move to the city council work session items. So anyway, that I would encourage that adjustment.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Emily, second by Joni. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. And then we do have some meeting minutes to consider tonight. Those are, I'll tell you the dates. February 21st, our most recent meeting. I know that there's been some dialogue. And Marie, do these draft minutes reflect those?
Yes, I I've just incorporated anything that anybody changed, and I've gone through them with a fine tooth comb, like more than I did the first time. Taking out all the stamps. I'm not gonna have that on here.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for that. And I believe we're ready to adopt those.
Can we move on that?
I don't know. Can we, Alan, without
Or
a
do we need to
quorum
wait?
On which ones?
on adopting me or approving meeting minutes?
I would wait.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's just wait in an abundance of caution. We'll consider those.
I will just say, I thought that they looked great, especially because there was a pretty messy section there in
Yeah.
the middle, so.
Okay. So then, Alan, do you mind taking us through follow-up and action items?
Yes, 1 second. Okay, we'll jump through a few of these that we'll talk about later on in the meeting, like the Civic Center. Obviously, you can see it's progressing with the building next door. We'll go over HR as well, but just so everyone knows, it's Employee Appreciation Month. So we did a kickoff this last week. Karen provided several things in each of the boxes, and then we had a training today with a survey. So things are going very well with Employee Appreciation Month. Water, we'll go over some things tonight. We went over the water master plan in the last meeting. That'll be up for consideration this evening. And associated with that are still some of the sub studies that they're going through and looking for funding options. Sewer, they are wrapping up the master plan in conjunction with our DEQ bond for the major trunk line aspect, but the master plan itself is being updated for the entire city for our sewer master plan. And then they'll start a lot of their infiltration inspection, seeing if water's getting into our system, groundwater, into the sewer system, which we have to pay for every drop that goes through the system. So it's something that we try to prevent. And they'll go through and they'll analyze that. They've started that already in the past weeks with Zach's crews. Streets, obviously, endless snow removal, they're still doing, but in between those, they're planning their budgets for this coming year. All of the major projects over the summer months that we have to do, both construction and surface treatments. And so you'll see a lot of those coming up in the next council meeting as far as the budget items. Stormwater, they'll probably start sweeping streets in the next few weeks. That's pretty early, but they'll be out. And hats off to the stormwater department for helping out with House Bill 507. It had some very damaging languages for cities. We basically would have had floods on every one of our streets and mud all over our streets had that gone through in the way it first came out. So hats off to our stormwater department and the other ones that brought some clarity to those items in that bill. Engineering, wrapping up several things regarding the 2500 North 8th East roundabout. And then some of the designs for the 2500 North section coming down from 16th East. Jumping down through, we'll go over some items in parks tonight. I don't want to take any of their fire. Trails. So we've applied for a Tri-City RAPS application for the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. So from North Logan, Hyde Park, and Smithfield, kind of teaming up together. We pool our resources, it could be less expensive for all three communities over time to get that section of the Bonneville Shoreline Trail installed. And not only are they looking into that funding method, but they're also looking into TAP funds and 2 or 3 other funding mechanisms to see how they can get that installed. So watch for those types of things in the coming weeks and months as we put those together. Recreation, they are in full swing and they will do their budget presentation tonight. So I'm not going to steal any time from them. Jumping down through cemetery, they'll be going through several things tonight. Community development, they'll go over some different things regarding signage at this week's meeting. And then several updates regarding the general plan. They'll provide some of those this evening. Economic development. We'll go over some things this evening regarding the Rush Funplex and a few other things coming into North Logan and the associated development agreements and plans associated with that. Jumping down through, the treasurer will be going through a good landlord program and what we can do to implement that throughout our city. It really helps with a lot of things related to utility billing, having a good landlord, and it enables us to almost fully implement a disproportionate business license fee for several of those businesses, large apartment complexes. Jumping down through, we've gone over human resources. They're doing 5 to 10 things this month regarding employee appreciation. So thanks to them for putting that together. Recorder, Scott's put together the budgets that you'll see, at least a format for each of the different departments. Library, the UEN grant, and the big thing that they did was related to the Regency Ball that took place this last week, and they have several programs coming up in the coming weeks. So a lot of those things you have to look in the newsletter or on the library website, which is very robust and has all of these programs coming up. Police, they're going over policy updates, budget review, some things that they're putting together for police commission that they'll then come before the city council to provide for you. And then fire department, you guys are all now very familiar with the fire department because of their tour, which they provided for us. And the chief will provide us some valuable updates in this meeting regarding the ISO and a few other things that are taking place that we'll want to relay to the citizens of the community at that point, because those are absolutely fantastic, what they're putting together. I jumped through those pretty quickly. Are there any other questions or concerns?
I don't think so. It looks like Buzzy can join us now if you want to admit him.
Okay. Thanks, Mayor.
Okay, Buzzy, are you there? You can, he's told me that he may need to text me for votes. Oh, says he did not connect. Let's just
Just
kind of.
really celebrating Women's History Month right away.
Yeah.
He's not even here to defend himself. I love it.
Okay, so let's move to our Employee Leadership Award. Today's is Heidi Taylor, nominated by Trenton Bateman. He says Heidi's commitment to North Logan City Library is nothing short of inspiring. Her recent orchestration of the Jane Austen Regency Ball at the Riverwoods Conference Center highlighted her enthusiasm and dedication. The event exceeded all expectations, drawing a crowd of over 180 attendees and a doubling as a fundraiser for the library. Heidi's ability to navigate the intricacies of event planning is truly commendable. Her meticulous attention to detail and adept organizational skills were evident throughout the entire process, resulting in a successful library program. We are grateful for Heidi's passion and hard work, which continue to make a profound impact on our community. I've had the pleasure of working with Heidi, I think for your entire time here, right, Heidi? And I'm so impressed. And I think it's such a credit to you, the vision that you had with Jane Austen in particular, how you've made that just come alive and be super successful over the course of 2 events. So, and that's just one example of how you've contributed to the library. So thank you so much for all you do for North Logan City, and let's give her a hand of applause. Okay, so it sounds like he can hear us, Buzzy can. Let's address those meeting minutes. So I would entertain a motion on those. Shoot, I've already forgotten. Is it the 21st? Okay, so those February 21st meeting minutes.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Emily,
I'll second.
second by Joni, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Buzzy, can you give me an indication? No, we got to. Okay, perfect. I actually prefer that. If we can get him a foam hand, that'd be really great. Okay, I think
I'm sorry.
I'm still going to move on to the work session items. I'm sure the people presenting won't be offended by that. So, let's start with the Parks Department on that one.
All right, so on the Parks Department, our top section hasn't really changed, but this is our last year of the wraps. We had a 10-year agreement, so we're gonna have to go out for it after this. But we get this last 142 this year. Our wraps projects have been really great. They've been moving forward really well with the addition of the pickleball courts, the bathroom down at the Meadowview. And we're going to be installing a pavilion this spring. We've got that all lined up. And then we'll be moving on in this next phase up to Elk Ridge East by that parking lot. So that's what we'll be doing with the Elk Ridge or the RAPS funding. So really grateful for the help that Cache County gives us with that. Yeah, everything up there is pretty much the exact same. Have any questions on the revenue, I guess? Okay. Down here, we haven't changed too much, just a little bit. In our fuel, we're noticing that we're using quite a bit. We do help with the snow plowing, and that does cost us quite a bit in the fall and in the winter and the spring, especially last year. It's
So
a
does that
heavy-
go to your budget then?
Yeah, when we fill
Oh,
up our
okay.
trucks, it does come out of ours for that time. And so that was up just a little bit with the extra plowing that we had to do last spring was quite a bit. I think everything through here is pretty much the same. Our CRC down at the high school stayed the same. RAPS population's the same. I would just say, yeah, the main things that we're working on are just putting in that pavilion, and then we're going to be working here at the city office. We've decided that we're going to take on the landscaping job, and we'll get it done for quite a bit cheaper than what we were getting bids. So hopefully save some money in that area.
Along with that, you'll probably see a budget adjustment at the end of this fiscal year because these guys are going to take that on in the spring. And you'll probably see an increase in wages and benefits just to compensate for that. But your total cost will be much less.
Yeah, every bid that we got was what we considered crazy high, and there was nothing to come down. And so we think we can get it done by at least a third. Try
And
to have it
staying
down.
sane.
We're never saying in the
Okay,
Parks
okay.
Department,
So
so
no
you're all right.
worries
You
there.
won't lose anything.
Are- How many, like increase of people will you need to complete the job? Do you think?
It's not gonna be people. We're just gonna be just putting in some extra hours trying to get it done. We want to get it done by that June 3rd ribbon cutting. So we'll bring in the initial spring crew. We're gonna try to get them to come in just a little bit earlier than we normally do because we
Mhm.
normally wait till after school. But if we can get people to come in and help us out earlier, and then we've also had talked to Streets to see if they could come over and help us, kind of a little switch for winter plowing and stuff like that, and they were on board. So yeah.
That's really great news. I think we kind of panicked when we saw those numbers, and realistically, this is something that we contemplated as we were deciding on building the city office building that we do some internal work. So this is great that
Yeah.
you guys are willing to do that.
Yeah, well, we're excited about it because we know we'll get it done the way we want it done too. So
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions for you. I'll try to
Okay.
make them quick. We have a couple of people that are in our community that have a really hard time with chemical sprays. So when do you anticipate your weed control?
So we'll put down fertilizer. It's gonna be around the April 15th time. But that's a slow release, so it shouldn't have any like real effect. Luckily, that gets down in the plant before it would ever. Hopefully, as long as people aren't sucking on the prills, we should be good. And then spraying, I normally try to spray weeds in the spring, but I try to wait till rec is kind of out of season and I kind of spray around them. So if I get weeks at a time where I know that people aren't on it, that's when we come in and actually do the spraying. So I do try to avoid the majority of the rec that's going on when we spray.
And Joni, maybe something else to add to that. The county handles currently, we contract with the county for like the behind people's houses, like the
Open space.
Open
Yes, open
spaces,
space.
yeah.
just
So
being
open
able
space is
that
up
might be
to
something.
Cache County, yeah.
Okay. Next question is more personal, but the pavilion design, is that something that you are making public or is that?
So the pavilion design is just going to mirror what we already have in the city. So it's going to be the same dimensions and style as we have up at King Park, that 30 by 50. We just want to be uniform all across the city.
Okay.
That was less personal than I thought it was going to be. I was a little
Yeah.
nervous.
I was waiting for a social security question.
Next.
Yeah.
How often do you brush your teeth?
Yeah.
Okay, is that all, Joni?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else from you, Ryan?
No, I think we're good on this one. I'll stay up here for cemetery.
Sorry, let me jump over.
Cemetery, we're really excited about this one. If you'll notice, our line has dropped. I mean, we were putting near $42,000 worth of culinary water up there. We have now got it so that we're going to be irrigating from the canal, and that is going to give us a huge savings, not even just on the money side, but just being able to get off of culinary water up there. So we're really excited about that. And so with that coming off, we should be actually in the net positive from now on with that. And so that was a great undertaking to get that done. And we also made it so as expansion comes, it won't affect us. We should be good to go for the future.
I do know we had talked about, and maybe this is somewhere accounted for, I'm not seeing it, potentially putting a storage unit. in
Yeah,
there.
so-
So what line is that? Sorry.
Yeah, so we were actually down there. We've been going out to bid to try to get some prices
Oh,
on a
okay.
bunch of this stuff. We're hoping to do a future shed up there. And that would just help us a lot with a bathroom. When we're working long days, it'd be nice to have a place to go, but also just to have our equipment up there for burials. It does get a little bit awkward driving a backhoe while people are up there at a burial. So it takes us a little bit more time, but just to be conveniently located for the cemetery.
And that bathroom would also be for patrons as well, right? No?
Oh, we are looking at doing also a restroom up there for patrons that would have water. but that one would just be more inside of our building
Okay,
that
so
we can.
both.
Yeah, both. Yeah, we're definitely looking at doing both up there. I think that's very needed.
Mhm.
It's kind of a win-win for the patrons if you think about it, though, with the shed going in. It may not seem like this, but North Logan Cemetery does things that a lot of cemeteries don't do for the patrons. One, we don't come in while people are during the actual funeral services. If you've been to another funeral, I've been to several where the crews will start coming in and they start pushing people out essentially to finish up the burial.
Hmm.
That is something we do not do in North Logan City. The other thing that these guys do that's pretty this is very rare. They haul off all of the dirt. So when they dig a grave, they haul away all the dirt and then they bring it all back when they do the actual burial itself. And that is unheard of. If you go to another cemetery, they'll just put a green carpet over a pile of dirt. And so they do little things like that throughout the whole thing. Having a cemetery shed, though, enables them to do that a lot more smoothly in a cleaner way and having that fill there to do those burials. And so the things that Ryan's already doing, this enables them to even provide more for the citizens, the patrons, those who come to the cemetery. And obviously the restroom, if you don't have a restroom up there, it's a few miles that you have to
Mhm.
drive before you can find a restroom. And for people coming to a burial or something else, having that restroom facility just for the patrons would be fantastic. But you see this capital list down below that Emily brought up. It's not formally put into the budget right now. And so it's something that we might have to come back for budget revision. These are estimated costs and the cemetery committee would probably just have to pick which items and they'll have to battle because for certain individuals, like I want a veterans memorial. Ryan wants a shed.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna
losing on
win in
that
that battle. And then other individuals may want the restroom, but it's a priority. And because Ryan has put this on secondary water, that enables us to always run in the positive and to put away money each year in order to do those capital projects.
I just wanted to, because we had just talked about it so much, I wanted to make sure I understood that.
Yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay,
Any other questions for the cemetery?
I don't think so.
Keep up the great work.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, the secondary water thing is a huge relief, you know, that we're not watering while everyone else is restricted.
Yeah, it was a little tough for a while because I mean, we cut down the one year we planted a bunch of trees and it hurt us. But I didn't want to have to water when you're telling everybody above to
No,
to not. So we abided by those rules, even though it was kind of a giant pain for us as well. So
Mhm.
yeah. Wonderful. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you. All right, recreation. I was talking about this week. I would love to have that.
Rocky music. Dun, dun,
About some
dun,
Leonard
dun,
Skinner.
dun.
I listen to it all day long.
Free bird there. Recreation's doing awesome. We have a lot of fun employees that it's been really great to have them. We're still working out some things on height issues for basketball. You know, trying to figure out the good thing. Like we have some really tall kids, really short kids.
Let us know when you solve that problem. Maybe birth certificate checks.
I'll
There
tell
we
you this,
go.
it helps. My kids might be tall, but they can't shoot a basket to save their lives. So
I am 14. All right. So not a lot has changed. We stayed pretty even across the board. Our sponsorship money has gone down. I just got to get a hold of a few more sponsors to bring that back up to where it should be, which has been pretty busy. With our revenue, you probably noticed it's gone down. We've been doing different handling procedures with our camps that we run through Green Canyon and the high school. Previous years, it's gone into the revenue fee and stuff, but we've got that fixed. We are hoping to do a lot more skills camps and stuff. So I'm hoping that 190 is going to be like the low ball and it's going to go really high. So hopefully get back up there. Not much has changed too much on the revenue side. Rocking it still. On the expense, we haven't added too much. A little more to our training budget because we have a lot more employees. Cell phone went up a little bit. We're going to try to do a mobile line just so we can have someone on site that anyone can reach if there's a problem rather than calling me and then I'm calling 2 other people to see who's there. So kind of a on-call phone there. That should help quite a bit. As far as our expenses, we dropped down a little bit. It's kind of more in what line with what we're doing. About $10,000 there to kind of interact with that. But as And then the only other thing, let's see, it was added to the feasibility study get added on. Doesn't look like it. We might be looking into doing a feasibility study for the
Yeah.
rec center.
I can maybe speak to that.
Please do.
But first I want to say that I've been in some Valleywide recreation meetings, and one of the big takeaways for me is how efficiently you run your department. And talking with some of the other recreation departments, we're doing way more with way less, and it's just really impressive. So kudos to your department on that.
Thanks.
I think it's been great to sit in those meetings, because I can kind of say, yeah, that's I'll take the credit for it. No,
That's how we
really
roll.
credit to all the staff that makes that happen. But yeah, that's been a discussion that we've been having in exploring. There's really a demand, as you guys all know, from our residents to consider building a recreation facility for use in the whole valley. And so what we kind of have come up with as a group is to do a valley-wide feasibility study. And so North Logan, we've said we will contribute to that and make a bid to host a potential one or more recreation centers that gets built. So host one, not more. So
Cool.
anyway, that's what that is. I think it's good to account for that. We haven't really gotten far. We submitted our RAPS application. Is it up there?
Yeah. You just.
So
So-
sorry, that was an older budget. There's been one revision, and that's line 33. What the mayor's talking about. In order to do that RAPS feasibility study, the cities that are participating would have to match at a certain percentage, and so that's that dollar amount, that 30,000 to put into the pot to match the RAPS request to do that feasibility.
Yeah. So like I said, we submitted that last Friday, and we'll kind of, I think that they can start considering that, the RAPS committee, later this month, and we'll hope for the best. I think that's some really great progress for our entire valley. So
Any
Any-
questions?
yeah. Any other questions, you two?
I just love what you're doing.
Oh.
Honestly, just keep it up. I have no
We
question.
love it when you coach too. Emily.
Oh, gosh.
You're
Yikes. Well,
good job.
they already got me to do it again.
I know, I saw
so you
that. I
got-
was like,
you can
oh,
watch me yell a little bit
busted.
more.
Good.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks.
Perfect. Thanks, Jesse. Let's see, updates regarding the North Logan City General Plan. Scott, is that you?
Okay, just a couple of quick updates on this. We've been working kind of in the background on some draft surveys to go out to the public on a couple of specific topics on transportation, parks and recreation, land use, and just like a general direction of the community. So we've been working on those. Actually, I had a discussion with our consultant this morning. He's been taking all of our comments from Planning Commission, City Council, our steering committee, and staff, ranking those, making sure he gets all those integrated into our updated draft. And then we will take those updated drafts to our steering committee tomorrow prior to Planning Commission to review an updated copy of each of those surveys and fine tune them a little bit further. So our anticipation is we'd like to issue one of our first surveys beginning as early as next week, and we'll advertise that far and wide. The question we have for City Council, Planning Commission on those surveys is the general cadence at which we want to submit those to the public. There's a train of thought that we issue one per week, and we advertise it. We give the public a week to work through one of those surveys and submit that back before we issue another one, and just kind of go 1 week at a time. Or there's also a train of thought that maybe we issue 2 per week, and we do maybe a Monday, Thursday, and that gets us through the surveys within about a half a month as opposed to a full month. And kind of curious the feedback that the council might have on your desired outcome for that. Don't you have any initial thoughts?
I think you're gonna get survey fatigue no matter what. So I personally would prefer 2 a week, just because I want us to keep moving
I'm
forward.
just wondering if there's any real value, like
Can we just
how many
drop-
surveys are there?
There's 4.
So I'm almost wondering if you just do 2 at a time, because I think trying to, like, I just am thinking about my practices. If I open up an email and there's 2 surveys, I'll just hurry and do those. But if I have a Monday and then a Thursday, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
So I would
Okay,
say,
okay.
I think there will be survey fatigue, but if you do 2 batches, I think that's our best hope for.
Okay, no, I think that's some good feedback. We'll ask the steering committee also their feedback, but I think that makes sense. Okay, so, yeah, starting next week, we'll start to see those start to come out. We'll get them advertised. So the steering committee will meet tomorrow. They'll talk about those surveys like we had mentioned. They're also going to talk about our work plan and our timeline going forward and start to put some more dates on the schedule for future public events and joint work sessions between city council and the planning commission and some of those next steps. And the upcoming joint work session with city council and planning commission is next month on the 11th. So kind of mark that on your calendar. An invite did go out for that, but we'll be talking about survey results and some of the data that we've collected through the survey effort over the next couple of weeks. We'll start talking about some common themes and kind of go forward from there. So that's kind of the update for now. Do you guys have any questions on general plan project?
Can you tell me that date again? April 11th?
Yep.
Right.
April 11th.
And where will that be?
It'll be here.
So
Yep.
just right right at the beginning of
It'll be part of
planning commission.
planning commission. Yep.
The last time we did it, it's gonna be similar in format, like we'll sit around a table, kind of very much a work session. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I think it's
Okay.
open to discussion. I think it makes sense because it's a little less formal. We can kind of talk more details, have materials and documents in front of us to flip through.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Sounds great.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks
Okay,
guys.
thanks, Scott. All right, how about updates about our water capital improvement projects? What would be your intro music, Jordan? Perfect.
So if you want to click on the updates, we'll kind of go over some of these a little later, but our water master plan is up for tonight as well. Alan's not clicking on my form, so I can't see what I'm going to talk about. But secondary water, we'll go over that in just a little bit. The water shoulder season education, we're working on those handouts right now to get those out to residents as well as on mailboxes and newsletters, Facebook, etc. Grant loan applications are still going strong. We're going to have some updates here in the next couple weeks on those. The plant updates are still working right along. One of the other things, so the lead and copper, in the next 2 months, we've got to pothole 100 homes to visually inspect the water lines. So if you guys ever get calls on people out in their front yards, it's us. We're going to notify residents, work with them as we come, but just a heads up on that. And then water master plan recommendations. One of the recommendations that came through that was found in that is that we needed an additional water line to the North Park subdivision. And with the roundabout installation, we will be working on that water line getting installed. So I've already found some great things that we need to do with that water master plan. So that's where we're at.
Perfect.
I am impressed that you're down to 100 homes. I'll just
Yeah.
say it. I'm like really impressed. Way to
Yeah.
go.
So we got a very high participation on the letters back. So since we did so good in that, the 100 home is the minimum we have to go pothole. This one we have to like visually inspect the water line out in their yard. So we were able to get enough participation to take us down to that tier, which was great. So
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to updates on the Civic Center. Did you guys see the letters on the building?
You just showed me. I really like it.
I love
And
it
Scott,
so
I'll say it
much.
right now. I think we should use that as continuing. I like the font, whatever the font is for the North Logan City letters.
You'd be surprised at the amount of debate with what that font was going to be.
It's easy to read. It's clear. I don't know. I'm not a designer, so that's just my opinion. I just really liked it.
Okay. Buzzy is demanding pictures, so I will send those. Alan, I just text you too, so you can post it for all to see. It'll be our new backdrop. Okay. Oh, so yeah,
No, that is one of the major updates.
let's talk more about fonts.
The inside of the office, if you want to know about that. There's only one room left where they're putting in some drywall. The rest of it is all complete. Several rooms are 80 to 90% complete. All they'll do is they'll come in and put some carpet in those rooms. They'll start on some of the cabinetry here pretty soon. I think the AV for the city council room and all the electrical is basically wrapped up. It's wrapped up for several portions of the city office. And so they'll be doing a lot of those things, hopefully just getting us closer to that end of April timeline to start moving things into the city office, which will be fantastic. And then as far as the community center goes, all of the final designs went out to the building department. Those comments, they came back today or yesterday. And so
Today.
they can go out to bid with all the subcontractors. And we'll get a bid at that point, and then we'll try and whittle down the budget when it comes in through some value engineering exercises that we do with every building when they come in. So it's great news across the board. It's moving along very well. And thanks to the Parks Department for coming in and wanting to break their backs to put in the landscaping
Yeah.
around the city office.
I'm really
Saving us
telling,
probably a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
I mean, let's shoot for the moon here.
I've been telling Wendell, like, we will have a meeting in May in that building. So BYO camp chair. But I really love that.
Oh, we'll have chairs. It's
Okay. Any questions on that? Okay, then let's go on to reports from city officers, boards and committees. Chief Thompson, do you want to start? The tour of the fire station was awesome and just made us that much more anxious to get into our building. So
It was a super fun day. Yeah, thank you for, it was great attendance. We had a great time. So hopefully you did too. So
yeah.
it was really good. So just a couple things to share. We did the day after we did that ISO survey, went really well, but it went the way we hoped it would. At least the two were right there close to the one, which would be amazing. The only other ISO 1 in Utah, really in our region, is Salt Lake City and South Salt Lake City. So it'd be a huge deal. But what that means for North Logan is where we're sitting at the 5. We've talked about that quite a bit. Each class move saves taxpayer, residents, and commercial properties 3 to 5% per class move. So North Logan, that could be as high as 15%. Even with just the 3 moves, which would be significant, right, for commercial building and residences. The key is just to, and we'll make sure this gets out in a newsletter, but I think it's super important is most insurance companies probably aren't going to share that info. It'll be super important once we have that certificate for you to be able to share that. The good news is 9 of 10 large insurance agencies use that data from ISO. It's industry standard. State Farm is the only insurance company currently that doesn't recognize ISO. So just keep that in mind. That'll be significant for residents and commercial here in Logan. So we're excited, about that. I told you I'd get.
Chief, when will you know about that?
It takes about 3 months.
Oh, okay.
To get that certificate. Although everything was so well prepared in advance, it might be faster. He let us know that this is awesome because we've got everything we really need. If it's looking like a 1, they really scrutinize that. They hold those 1s super close. Then the survey, Brian that came to do this survey, they start looking at his data really close. They would kind of pour over things like Jordan's records from the water department, for example, inspections on hydrants. Like they want to know that they opened them up to make sure that they're functioning. They like to look at those records for a year. Ironically, the other thing that could keep that from swinging that way is as we move forward with the additional 3 we talked about in the North Logan station, that will be huge for that because then it confirms that we have what we call 4-handed staffing on every engine, which is NFPA recognized. NFPA 1710 is when they look at for how stations should be staffed. That would be the thing that may swing it with that extra 0.5 points. So we'll get there.
Okay.
I've talked to Alan, the SAFER grant, that for the staffing grant that we've been talking about the last year, that period opens next week. It'll be open for a month. I think we go ahead and go after that because it, like I said, it pays for that staffing for 70% of it for 3 years. It's a 3-year grant. So that's coming up. April 20th will be the fun day. That's where we'll get you back in the gear. So try to put that on your calendar. We've got an extrication for you to be able to cut up a car. We're going to do a car fire. We're going to do lunch. We're going to do a demo and be able to kind of show that significance of a 3 and 4, the difference between 3, 4, and 5 handed staffing, we call that, for personnel in a station. So you can kind of see that. So it'll be a fun day.
Yeah.
It'll be a full day. So we want you to put that on the calendar. We're looking forward to it. So the guys and gals are super excited about it.
Great.
So, but yeah, I think that's probably enough for tonight. So
Okay.
thanks
That-
again.
What time is that?
All
open?
day,
What-
probably like
all day?
10 to 4 that day.
Okay.
Yeah, we're kind of blocking out about 10 to 4, so we'll have lunch. And hopefully it's a day, like, we don't want to mess up people's weekends, but it's a big enough event that you would want, we don't want to mess up your work schedule either, because we know people are working and serving. So hopefully it's a day like, hey, that'll be a fun day. It's intended to be fun, informational, and, both. So
Okay.
Hey.
Thanks, Chief.
thanks.
We have been busy this week, but first off, I want to give thanks to the North Logan Youth Council. They dropped by here just a few hours ago and dropped off a thank you to the officers and for being out and being visible. That was
Oh,
very
that's
much
great.
appreciated, and the little gift that they put together. It's pretty neat. This week we've had 106 calls. We had 108 traffic stops in addition to that. Some of the things that we're starting to see is as people are moving out and about more. We've had a few storms, we've had accidents, but we're starting to see a lot higher speeds. Some road rage incidents that we've had to be involved in and kind of help calm some people down there. So that's some of the stuff that we're starting to see. We are getting several requests for presentations, sextortion presentations. The big one is on April 29th. Hyde Park, a member of their youth council requested a presentation on suicide prevention, and that got tied in with sextortion too. And so myself and another presenter are going to be doing that. Terrell Warner, I believe, is the second presenter on that night. So that'll be a good thing to do as well and to be involved in. Other than that, we've been busy trying to put together a proposal for our budget coming up. We'll be meeting with the police commission tomorrow night to try to go through that first round. We did have an opportunity to have a budget workshop this last Tuesday, and we had several people who came in and kind of went through the numbers, and we've taken some ideas back and worked that. So that's kind of where we're at. We've been busy.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. Okay. Scott, do you have anything to add? Okay, Jordan? Scott? Marie? It feels like it's always my month. No, I've had a couple month break. So, okay, Alan?
Just the upcoming events. We've gone over a few of them already, but the Basketball Skills Challenge is this Saturday from 4 to 7 p.m. Employee Appreciation Lunch. So that is for all employees. So the City Council, Planning Commission, that is on March 20th. So just pencil that in at the HSC, the upstairs room. And then jumping down through, Scott's going over the ULUI conference. And then the Easter egg hunt is March 23rd, 11 a.m. sharp. So just remember that. And then the soapbox derby would be the next one after that. And then we've gone over the fire department tour. So there's several things coming up in the next 1 to 2 months. Just keep those on your calendar. Let me know if you have any questions coming up.
Okay, great. Man, this feels weird. Feels like we should be adjourning.
Yeah.
Okay, now we'll jump back to our action items. We will start with a public hearing to receive public input on a proposed resolution to amend the master fee schedule, modifying culinary tiered water rates for subdivisions or developments that were modeled or approved with secondary water for exterior watering needs. So we'll let Jordan take this over, although it's kind of just piggybacking for council purposes on what we've discussed previously. So
Yeah, just to kind of reiterate, Alan had put together some of this form. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to read it, but some of the things that it kind of pushed are the facts of why this is so important to our water system. And one of the really big things that it does to us is on the very bottom of the screen, you can see that last paragraph. A home that's currently using secondary water on their exterior landscaping averages about 6,000 gallons of culinary water use. So if they were to switch from secondary water to culinary water, that demand would go up and could exceed 150,000 gallons of culinary water. We see that a lot across areas of the city. And so that going up is just so drastic. On one home, I mean, we're talking 100,000 gallons a month of an increase. You spread that across 10, we're over 1 million gallons of water that we're having an impact in just 1 month's period. So it's a huge deal for us. And this is an issue that we see in a lot of areas through the city. And we really are going to focus on education and trying to get people to stay on that secondary water as they were approved. And yeah, but that's really the main driver for this, is just the toll it takes on our culinary water system.
Okay. Any questions before we open up the public hearing from either of you? Buzzy? Okay, then I'll open up that public hearing. Just a reminder of the rules for speaking at a public hearing. Before you begin, state your name for the record, speak into the microphone so your comments can be recorded. Limit your statements to 2 minutes. If you're speaking on behalf of others, you may ask the chairperson for more time. Phrase your opinions in the form of statements, not questions. A public hearing is your opportunity to express your opinions to the city council, not a time to ask questions, and expect dialogue between yourself and council or city staff. Address your comments to the council, not the public. The council may ask questions about your comments in order for them to better understand you. In the future, note that if you have questions or need to discuss an issue, you may meet with the city council members or appropriate city staff members before the public hearing where dialogue can take place. You also may provide a written statement as your input for the hearing. You may read it or summarize it. The 2-minute limit applies. You may provide a copy of a written statement to the city recorder, who will make copies for the city council, and a written statement will become a part of the public record. However, it will not be included in the minutes of the meeting. So with that, we will open up the public hearing. Okay, seeing no comments, I will close the public hearing. Discussion among the council, thoughts on this beyond what we've already said?
I have a quick question. Where did
Yeah.
we come up with the tier rates?
Yep.
Sure. Where did you come up with the tier rates?
Yeah. So what the tier rates are, well, how we got there is we currently have a tiered rate in place for subdivisions that were approved without water, period. And they have a very strict tier structure that limits the exterior water use, because when the subdivision comes in and they're under that rate structure, it's in full anticipation that they will not use culinary water on the landscape. And so what we did with this is we just went through some of the use curves and where people are using water on the high ends and on the low ends, and where it'd be very detrimental to our system, as well as how much more we would have to pump in order to provide that culinary water to their homes. And so that's how we came up with this tier structure and the dollar numbers.
Okay.
I wish you had been here last meeting, because going through and seeing the difference in rates was really helpful, because I would notice this almost immediately.
Mhm.
This would be, and it would be a good shock to my system. But I'm hoping
Right.
with education, people will not, I really don't want to shock anyone. Unsurprisingly, I want them to
Yep.
kind of know going in what's going to happen.
Yeah,
So,
100%. Our goal with this is not to make money. It is to really focus on conservation, because the impacts it has on our system aren't just very small. It impacts the entire system, every taxpayer. It taxes the whole city system. So it's a huge issue. So so these aren't to make money. It's really just to make sure that our costs are getting covered, but we don't want people to switch.
Yeah, and that spreadsheet that kind of shows that, Joni, is in the folder as well. So if it shows you, different scenarios. If you use 60,000, if you use 20.
Right.
So,
I mean, this is
Mm.
stuff I like.
Yeah.
I like, so it helps me, but I'm thinking education.
Yep.
I'm so glad.
So
you're
what
doing
we
that.
would do with this, you guys brought that up in the last meeting, and that was fantastic to go over. What would be a rollout or an implementation of something like this if it is approved? But if it goes forward, this would be several months of education. This would be very applicable to 7 or 8 subdivisions throughout the city where we're seeing this. And like Jordan said, if one person does it, we're not going to lose any sleep. If 10 people do it, it's very drastic to our system. And so curbing that right now and going through these tiers, what we would do is basically roll it out if it's implemented and give people 2 to 3 months and say, this is what would happen. This is how this would affect you. This is what you need to do in the next 2 to 3 months if this is going to be implemented. And then just even give them an example of this is what you commonly use on your yard. If you use it with these new rates, this is what it will be. And that would be the strong encouragement to go back onto secondary water because the rates would be very expensive at that point. Yep.
Is there a way, with the rollout, would that then come with their water bill? So they'll like.
Yeah,
Kind of see
so
what we've been doing other
with this
things?
being, very, like, it's easy to identify the areas where this would apply.
Mhm.
There's HOAs where people live and stuff like that. So we could go through that with individuals. We'd send letters to them to say, hey, we're noticing you're using this. You would fall into this tier. Last month you used X amount. This is what it could be. So yeah, the education part is going to be huge. So yes, we definitely can do that.
I'm very excited. I'm ready to move. Are you ready?
One point of clarification on the last line here, it says the last tier is 20,001 gallons to 60,000 gallons. I put 60,000 plus.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
doesn't have a ceiling.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Emily.
Okay, I move that we approve the proposed resolution to amend the master fee schedule, modifying the culinary tier water rates for subdivisions or developments that were modeled or approved with secondary water for exterior watering needs with the addition of the plus sign after 60,000.
Okay, motion by Emily,
I'll second.
second by Joni. All in favor?
I.
Let's see. All right,
Oh, there it
Fuzzy.
was.
Good to hear your voice.
And
Okay.
Also,
Oh, Kenny. Wow.
Yeah, I didn't vote
Great.
on that one because I didn't hear the complete thing. I just joined 2 minutes ago.
Okay, great. Thanks, Kenny, for jumping on. Okay, then we'll move on to our next item. Consideration of a commercial subdivision concept plan for a 3-lot subdivision at approximately 1950 North, 100 East in the commercial general zone. By the way, that I will, Marie, for your sake, I'll declare that motion passed unanimously.
Okay, this might look familiar to everybody. This came before council in the form of a special use permit a couple months ago. I believe it was back in December. So Rocky Mountain Power owns parcels between Main Street and First East. They came to the council to discuss a special use permit to use a part of the property for a new substation, electrical substation. And as part of their next steps, now that they have the special use permit to use the property for that land use, now they need to plat the property and prepare it for building permit. So they own multiple parcels, and what they're doing is they're platting those parcels into 3 developable lots. So I don't know if you want to go down to Exhibit A, it's probably the best all-encompassing visual. But just so everybody understands, this is in the commercial general zone. There's no lot size minimum or width minimum. So they can pretty much split these up pretty much how they need and still meet all the minimum requirements. Sorry, maybe it's Exhibit B. Yep, B. There you go. So you can kind of see superimposed there the proposed location of the substation fronting First East, and then there's 2 additional lots. One that fronts on Main Street, and then we've got one that's sandwiched in between. There's an existing building on parcel A. That building is intended to stay with a tenant that's currently occupying that building. Parcel B will remain under Rocky Mountain Power's ownership. It may be sold, and we may see a future development proposal on that. And then Rocky Mountain Power plans to move forward with their substation likely this year. So as part of this project, when they plat, they have to go through a subdivision ordinance and they have to do certain improvements to the properties in order for these to be considered developable lots. So they need to provide for frontage improvements on both First East and Main Street. And so we'll get that meandering sidewalk on Main Street, which will be nice. We'll also get some roadway dedication on First East. It's about 30 feet of dedication, and then they'll be responsible to put curb gutter sidewalk in that area. So that's kind of in a nutshell what they're looking to do. This is a concept plan, so high level review. We do have a positive recommendation from Planning Commission. Happy to go through any details there. The planning commission did add one condition. They wanted to verify that parcel B does have adequate access, which if you look further in the staff report, there are a couple of easements that they propose to use to provide access across parcel A from Main Street. So we'll verify that those easements are on the preliminary plat when they submit that, but we should be good to go. You guys have any questions?
I don't think so. Any from you two or anyone online?
Yeah, you already, you answered the.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Was really
We're
hoping you'd
relying
say it.
heavily on you guys.
You got it. Okay, I would like to make a motion to approve the concept plan for the commercial subdivision for 3-lot subdivision at approximately 1950 North, 100 East, with the stipulation. I like the stipulations that the planning commission had, and I want to, do I need to accept the facts findings?
So if you want to accept that, you can just accept the staff report, the facts, findings, and conditions, because that is mentioned in the report.
Okay, then I would do that to accept the facts, findings, and conditions made in the staff report.
Perfect.
Okay, motion by Emily,
I'll second.
second by Joni. All in favor?
Wait, did
Aye.
somebody?
So that's Buzzy,
Nice.
Kenny. And Joni, did you say aye?
Approved as well.
Was that yes, you approve?
Do we need to see if he's got a thumbs up?
Yes.
Oh,
Nice picture.
okay.
Okay.
That is. is a
Thank
very
you,
professional
Kenny and Buzzy. So I will also say that was a unanimous approval of that
There's a
motion.
thumbs up
There's a
popping
thumbs
up in the
up.
screen.
Oh, there it is.
Perfect. Yes. Okay, we'll move on to consideration of a commercial subdivision preliminary plat and development plan for a 2-lot subdivision at approximately 2850 North, 200 West in the commercial general zone.
Okay, so this is again a commercial subdivision on the other side of Main Street, along 2850 North and 2nd West.
Sorry.
This is a 2-lot subdivision where we already actually have 1 lot, but we're modifying some property lines on the existing sock factory. This is a cool subdivision. We have a lot of cooperation between multiple property owners to fit this in. And we do have a few development agreements that will be applicable. But essentially what we're doing is we're creating 2 lots, both that front on 2850 North, with one that fronts also on Main Street and the other that fronts on 2nd West. 2850 North is a master plan street, and there are sidewalk requirements. So there'll be curb gutter sidewalk there. Also on 2nd West. There is a requirement from UDOT that we work with them to create a decel lane on Main Street for the southbound traffic. So we're working with UDOT on that. And you'll see that in the cross section on the development plan if you look carefully. I think one thing that we're also excited about is removing the existing access for the sock factory off of Main Street in favor of a secondary or a new primary access off of 2850. So that'll improve safety and circulation, and I think it's a win-win for everybody there. So a couple things we're working on to coordinate with multiple property owners, and we appreciate them working with us to make this all fit. So this is a preliminary plat and a development plan. So this is the last time council will see this before it moves to really detailed construction documents and final plat that will be reviewed internally. Do you guys have any questions about the premise here? We do have a positive recommendation from Planning Commission as well.
This looks great to me. I just have a question because I'm curious about how this process works, because that has been the entrance. How does the process go about making sure people know that it's not like, when will this road be put in? You know, like when will their access to Main Street be cut off? And will there be some sort of like good signage? Will we tell people like, how do we do this? Because I do worry an
Out of
idiot,
habit,
might
people are thinking it's
accidentally
there.
try to do it, you know? So what do we do to like? make
Yeah,
sure
so
people don't
we
do it?
obviously won't close off the access to the sock factory until 2850 is fully improved and the new driveway is installed, and then that access will be removed, so it's not a temptation to use it. So we're not just putting a string across hoping nobody continues to use it. We haven't really discussed signage. Maybe that's an opportunity to catch people's eyes. This is changing. But I think mostly it's employees that are going to the sock factory. And so I think we can educate them and they'll probably be well aware of it. They'll see the changes on a daily basis. And they'll probably be excited not to have to slow down, in Main Street traffic because they can use the decel lane. And I think it'll be a good thing for them too. Yeah, not until that road's fully in will we make that transition.
It's nice to hear that they're working so well together. That's really.
Yeah, this affects multiple property owners and each of the property owners, we worked with each of them and we're trying to make sure it works well for each of them. And one of the things we've been working with the sock factory, it's an existing business that's been doing very well. They had socks in the Super Bowl. So it's a very high functioning business. And so as we've looked at everything to keep their operations up and flowing, as Scott mentioned, this is more of the operations for the individuals working at the business, but also they do a lot of picking up and dropping off. So we've tried to create at least 2 to 3 access points for them. So right now they have one. In the future, they'll have one here. They'll have one that goes out here, so trucks can come and loop through and come out onto 2850, and then one in the future that goes north that ties into a future access point throughout there. So working with them, that's one thing. And then working with the Clarks, the road affects them probably the most, but along with that, concessions to try and make sure that each of their needs are taken care of for future development of this property, and working with them. So it's not just Rush Funplex, which has received an outpouring of very positive feedback regarding that business, but also working with the other property owners to kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone. This is a very difficult process to go through and make sure that we're making a positive experience for each one of them, and also working with UDOT to open up 2850. But sorry, I'm kind of going over several things, but those are good questions regarding access into each of these businesses.
Okay. Anything from the people online, or are we ready to move? Alan, speaking of being ready to move, could we open up this door?
Yes,
We
please.
feel like we're acting under duress up here. I have a pretty high tolerance. What was that, Buzzy?
I was just saying nothing for me.
Sorry, Buzzy, it's really hard to understand what you're saying.
He's in Colorado.
Buzzy struggles with technology, just so everyone.
Okay. He said, never mind. Okay, are we ready to move on this?
I'm being, prompted, gently, kindly.
She's got to make.
You
one
got this,
motion.
Joni.
I move that we approve consideration of a commercial subdivision preliminary plat and development plan for a 2-lot subdivision at approximately 2850 north, 200 west in the commercial general zone.
Second.
Okay, motion to approve
Is that okay?
that. And
Oh,
With the
sorry.
fact findings and conditions. of
okay, so
staff
the
report.
motion we will say includes
Includes-
that with the facts, findings and conclusions,
Adopt the facts,
sorry.
findings and conditions.
conditions
staff
of the
report.
staff report.
Yep.
Okay, so great job, Joni. Motion by Joni, second by Emily, all in favor?
I.
Aye.
Kenny
Okay,
also had
perfect.
a thumbs up and a yes.
Oh,
so.
wow, overboard. Extra credit. Okay, that motion is unanimous. Finally, we will consider a resolution adopting the North Logan City Water Master Plan.
So yeah, last council meeting, we had Stephen come and present the water master plan. As we gone through it, we didn't find any other changes that needed to be done. So yeah, I don't know if you have any other questions on it, but we stand behind what it is.
I heard actually some feedback from the public that they really enjoyed the audit and they found that it was informative and they were happy to hear how much North Logan was already aware of the infrastructure problem.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to pass that along.
Thanks.
as
Yeah,
a
it was
positive.
great. We're excited.
Okay, then I'd entertain a motion on that.
Motion to approve a resolution adopting the North Logan City Water Master Plan.
Okay, motion by Emily,
I'll second.
second by Joni, all in favor?
Thanks.
Aye. Aye.
So that was Buzzy Kenny. Did we, oh, we
Kenny.
got a thumbs up.
Yellow thumbs up.
Seriously, why do we even need to speak in the future? We'll just get big foam thumbs.
Actually, I would like that.
Okay, is there anything else from the council? Because it looks like we are ready to adjourn. I mean, it seems like the men are holding us back in terms of efficient meetings.
I mean, I didn't want to be the one to say it.
Guilty as charged.
I think that's true as well. It's true.
All right,
That
was feels
12
good.
agenda items.
I really though, before we do adjourn, thank you for joining us from sunnier places, Buzzy and Kenny. We really appreciate that. Okay, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Emily,
Second.
second by Joni, all in favor? Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks, you guys.
Bye.
Thank you. Have fun.
Bye. See you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.